Some more cool models to share with you, a high-tech lamp, and a modeling tip coming up next on Hot Off the Bench. Well, hey guys, welcome to another edition of Hot Off the Bench. This is April 2021. I am ready to get started with our model slideshow, so let's begin. Okay, so I had to kick off this month's slideshow with a piece from Ken Spriggs, and I had given you a peek at this project in the first episode of Hot Off the Bench. I promised to show you the project when it was done, and here it is. This exquisitely detailed diorama depicts a scene from The Mandalorian in which our hero encounters the character of Ahsoka Tano. The diorama features a lot of detailing, including a lightsaber effect, which was created with the use of light bulb filaments, and it just looks fantastic. He added other details such as the background, which was designed to replicate the look of the planet Corvus where Mando encounters Ahsoka. This backdrop was designed with the help of Mark Fraley, and Ken enhances it even further by illuminating the moon. Other details include Morai, the owl spirit who watches over Ahsoka, and of course, Baby Yoda, who is now known as Grogu. All of the figures you see here were 3D printed and beautifully painted to reflect the characters as they were seen in the episode. And Ken designed the base to be split in this way, as you see here, to allow the ability to gain better views of each figure. If you'd like to see how this piece was created, follow the link below to his channel, and there you'll also find details about the 3D printed pieces if you're interested in creating them yourself. Ken did such a fantastic job here and worked really hard on this one, and I'm happy to note that the piece took first place in the sci-fi diorama category at an IPMS model show in Indianapolis. He attended that show on April 17th of 2021. Congratulations, Ken, on a job well done, and thank you very much for sharing. We definitely look forward to more of your work in the future. And staying in the Star Wars universe, we have this really nice X-Wing from modeler David Eves. This is an old AMT Empire Strikes Back X-Wing kit that he beautifully detailed and painted. The model is nicely displayed in a landed position along with a pilot and an entry ladder. It's placed on a base that replicates the look of Yavin 4, and it really comes together when he puts it in front of this backdrop that he printed. Thanks for sharing this great model, David. And here are some pictures of a submission by modeler Joshua Hazard, who made this depiction of an X-Wing rising from the Dagobah swamp. The model used here was a Revell snap-tight kit, and he poured resin into a wooden base to create the water of the swamp. Cotton soaked with acrylic paints was used to mimic the heavy moss seen all over the fighter. And he sent along some pictures of his other Bandai kits. Great job, Joshua, and thank you for sharing. Next up, we have master scratch builder Bill Kraus. Bill is a gentleman I met at Wonderfest a couple of years ago. He made quite the impression with everyone with a beautifully scratch-built starship, and here is one of his latest builds. His builds are sometimes completely scratch-built, others are modified kits. His designs reflect the period between the end of the original series and the movies. The model here was created using a 1/1000 scale Enterprise refit kit, which he modified. He chopped off and widened the dorsal, and the same was done to the secondary hull with about an inch extension added to the aft. As is typical with his creations, here he adds brass supports within to keep it true and to support the pylons. He also slightly modified the nacelles. The ship is beautifully detailed with a paint scheme that resembles what we saw with the Enterprise refit from the motion picture. For the Aztec pattern, he used the decal sheet that was included, along with a Wrath of Khan supplemental set. Another beautiful creation, Bill, and thanks for sharing. If you'd like to see more of Bill's work, check out the interview I did with him on the channel. The link is listed below. Up next are a couple of beautifully done Trek ships by modeler Brian G. Here we have the 1/2400 scale USS Discovery from Polar Lights. It was painted with Tamiya's titanium and gold, along with a black panel line wash, and completed with an overall flat coat. The model turned out quite nice and is an excellent representation of the ship. Next up is the 1/1000 Klingon Bird of Prey, also from Polar Lights, and this one was painted with an AS30 Dark Green 2 RAF. A black panel line wash was applied along with dry brushing with XF73 Green for the light tone. The ship was then dusted with Tamiya weathering powders, and he added steel-type Yushi powder to the gun barrels. Now, Brian says these are his first foray into the Trek franchise, and I have to say he did a fantastic job here. Thanks for sharing, Brian, and if you'd like to see more of Brian's amazing work, check out his channel. The link is below. And now we have a couple of 3D printed models from builder Eagle Farrell. The first is this unique model of an Omega-class destroyer from the series Babylon 5. The ship is called the Agamemnon and measures 16 inches in length. And as you can see in this video that he provided, he definitely took this to the next level by also including a motor for rotating the section of the ship that you see here. Just outstanding. Next is a replica of the drone from the movie Oblivion, one of my favorite films when it comes to ship design and overall aesthetics. Eagle did a great job replicating the look of the drone down to the lighting of the engines as well as the red eye. All of the files for these can be found on Thingiverse, and I've included the links below. Really nice work, Eagle. Thanks for sending the pictures and the video. And now a build by modeler Stephen Caricato of the Mobius model's Cylon Raider. The Mobius kit is not only more accurate than the old monogram model, but larger because it's in scale with the 132 Viper. This leaves ample room for a cockpit, which Steve decided to detail. And here's a work-in-progress video clip showing the two Cylon pilots with the roaming eyes, and he eventually placed Baltar in the top center seat as he was in the episode The Living Legend. Here are shots of the exterior, and he did a fantastic job with duplicating what was seen on screen. Now Steve definitely went the extra mile here with this build. He not only lit up the engines, but he also included flashing lights for the turbo lasers, as well as sound effects. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
I don't want to miss a moment of the last Battlestar's destruction. There we go, Barbara.
What an amazing build. Now Stephen is yet another modeler who I had a chance to interview on the channel, the link to which you'll find below. Thanks again, Steve, for sharing. Alright, well, it's time to head now to the Space 1999 universe, first with this model from Patrick Hannes. It's a replica of the Hawkfighter, and he obtained the kit from a friend of his up in Canada. Although only seen in one episode, this is a very popular ship among 1999 and sci-fi fans alike. Beautifully built and detailed, the ship measures a good 33 inches in length. Thanks, Patrick. Really nice job. Next up is a creation by modeler Robert Johnstone. He calls this concept an Eagle Hopper, and is intended for use for orbital or short-range missions. He did a great job detailing and lighting the ship, and I just love the design he came up with. Really nice, Robert. Thanks for giving us a peek at this great ship. And now it's time to end the slideshow with this great piece from Joe Hudson. Now this is a technique in which the artist simulates an exterior light source. Joe started out by painting the piece in a conventional way using colors that we're accustomed to seeing with the character. He then decided to go beyond this by using pinks and purples to simulate colors which are seen in the city. When completed, it appears that a purple cool light source is reflecting off of him. This is the technique which I first saw at Wonderfest a couple of years ago, and it just looks amazing whether you're looking at it in a picture like this or in person. Bear in mind, Joe did this with no airbrushes. It's all painted on by hand. I believe this is Joe's first time attempting this technique, and I think he did such a beautiful job. Thank you for allowing us to share this, Joe. Wow, so no doubt as a fellow modeler, you're just as astounded as I am. I am always amazed at the level of creativity, the ingenuity, and the level of skill. I love looking at other people's work. So if you want to share a build of yours, feel free to email me here at interestedmodeler@gmail.com. Okay, well now it's time to talk about a product that will help you out with model building. And before I start here, I just want to make mention that this is a first for me. I'm actually going to be reviewing a product that a company has approached me about. And I just want to say before I start here that if this is to happen again in the future, and I'm not sure how often this is going to happen, I promise to be very selective about what I talk about here on the channel. I will be sure that these are products that I think you'll benefit from. Now, what particularly interested me about this product by a company called BenQ is that it addresses an issue that happens to all of us as we age, and that is changes in our vision. I've been in eye care for over 30 years, so I'm well acquainted with the changes that we all encounter as we age. Usually by around your mid-40s, you're going to start noticing changes in your vision. And the first change that all of us are very familiar with is the change that requires the use of magnifiers, reading glasses, visors, and those types of things, which are all well and good. We definitely all lose the ability to focus well at close, and so of course all these products will help us out. But one of the things that's not talked about frequently is how lighting can impact things. Many of us, of course, will start by putting lighting over our workbenches, which honestly is necessary regardless what age we're at. But one of the things you'll start finding as you get to my age, which I'm into my mid-50s now, is that you're going to find that even that's not enough, and that you're going to want even more lighting. And that's really what I found of interest in this product, is because it allows you to adjust lighting in a different way. It gives you the ability to adjust temperature, brightness, and it has some features to it that I think you'll find very helpful. So let me go ahead and review the product for you. I think you'll find this interesting. So again, the lamp is produced by BenQ and is called the e-reading desk lamp. It's available as this model called the Genie, which has a fixed arm and a lower price point, or as the e-reading desk lamp, which has a longer adjustable arm. The e-reading lamp I have here is attached to this wide base, but you can also purchase a clamp which allows you to mount it onto the side of a desk, or this floor stand extension, which of course makes it into a floor lamp. The lamp head is designed with this curve shape, which functions to provide illumination across a large 90 centimeter or 35-inch area, and it does so in a way that eliminates contrast glare. And this is something I look forward to testing with my next project. The lamp is activated by touching this ring and comes with various options available to adjust light temperature and intensity or brightness. When it comes to color temperature, you can rely on two predetermined settings. The first is what they call book reading, which emits in more natural light at 5700 Kelvin, and screen reading, which is at 4000 Kelvin, a warmer tone. Now when you're using those predetermined settings, the lamp uses an ambient light sensor, which allows it to detect and read the light around you and adjust the brightness accordingly. Now you can adjust these settings on your own by using this knob. Pressing it once allows you to adjust the temperature. Pressing it again allows you to adjust the intensity. Now I was curious to see how this compares to just a basic desk lamp. So first you see this little lamp here illuminating this surface. And you can easily see when you turn on the other one how much of a difference there is in the amount of area illuminated and how the intensity is directed. Being able to have a wider lit area can certainly be of help if you have parts scattered across a workspace. The lamp head is meant to be placed just right above eye level and over your work area, as you can see here. So in summary, the attributes this lamp has that could help you with modeling include even light distribution. It has the ability to minimize harsh shadows, which can be distracting while you're painting. It has what's called a color index rendering of 95, which means the lamp provides for good color representation. And it's of course designed to improve comfort for your eyes while working. And if you do get this lamp, BenQ recommends using the book reading mode if you're relying on the automatic settings for model building and painting, since it's brighter and provides for better color representation. Now, just with the small amount of experimentation and playing around with it here, I can already tell the difference between this versus what I was using before. So I look forward to trying it out. In fact, I'm going to give it a go with my next project, which is going to be a painting project here, and it's going to be this sculpt of Lieutenant Uhura from Blackheart Models. Now, whenever you're painting sculpts like this, it can be a little distracting when you're getting glare and reflection off the surface. I'm just curious to see, because that's what this design is supposed to help out with, if this really makes a difference when you're painting something like this. And the fact you can adjust the color temperature and intensity, all that should help out as well. So I'm going to actually make a video of that and guide you along as I'm painting this sculpt, and we'll see how it all turns out. So if you have any questions about this particular product, you can consult the link to the BenQ website that I have below. I'd like to thank BenQ for allowing me to review this product for you guys. And by the way, they just sent this lamp to me. I don't get any sort of residuals from you buying the lamp or anything like that. This is solely the opportunity to try this out and demonstrate it in front of you guys. And hopefully this is something that you'll find helpful and will be a worthwhile investment for you. Alright, well this month's model tip comes from modeler and figure painter Joe Hudson. As you saw, we featured his Batman in this month's slideshow, and last month we featured his Planet of the Apes Zira figure. And this has to do with seams that he encounters as he is working with miniatures and figures. So say for example you have an arm that you need to attach to a torso. Obviously there will be a seam that will result from that, and you're going to have to fill that in and address it. So what he does is he uses Avis's epoxy putty. Now I've worked with this stuff, as you've seen in past projects, and you can mold that into anything, so it's a great product to work with. Now when you're molding it and smoothing it over, you have to wet it down, and usually people are using water. Well, instead of using water, he suggests using your base color, and so he actually works that into the seam with the Avis's epoxy putty, and it turns out really nice. So here's some pictures for you to look at. As you can see here, he's carefully applying the Avis's epoxy putty into that seam, using the paint now, working that in, and this is what it looked like when it was completed. So really a nice tip there. I plan on trying that out next time I am working with a figure, and I hope you find that tip helpful too. Thanks, Joe, for sharing that one. Alright guys, well that is a wrap for this month's Hot Off the Bench. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. Just a couple quick announcements here before we wrap things up completely. I wanted to make mention that Blackheart now has a new addition to their Micromania bus line, in particularly the Star Trek line, and this is of the Gorn. As with all of their other sculpts, it's beautifully done, and I'm sure once it's painted it's going to make a very nice replica of the Gorn as you saw on the TV show there, and I definitely look forward to painting this one up. As I mentioned earlier in the video, my next project is going to be a Star Trek bust of Lieutenant Uhura, and you know, I've kind of held off doing these types of videos because I just don't consider myself an expert when it comes to painting these types of projects. However, I've been very pleased with what I've learned from figure painter Joe Hudson, and just trying to work hard with perfecting my techniques. This is the way Captain Kirk and Spock turned out. So I think I'm ready to show you guys what I do when I paint these types of projects here, and hopefully you'll get something out of that. And it'll give me the opportunity, as I mentioned earlier, to test out the BenQ lamp. That should be helpful with that particular project, as it is all painting. And the last thing I want to do here is give you an update on the Battlestar Galactica launch tube, which was my last project. If you guys were following along during the final review, as I was showing you the completed project, I made mention how I was dissatisfied with the way the steps turned out, and this is what they look like. As you can see, a very heavy seam down the center of those steps. I knew that that seam was there and I'd have to go back and address it, but man, after watching that video, it was quite obvious that seam needed to be fixed. So what I did was I ended up reprinting the steps altogether. I was able to piece them a little bit better so that the seam wasn't as heavy to begin with, and I did my best to address the seam. This is what it looks like now. As you can see, the pieces compared here, the original versus the one I have now replaced them with, and this is what it looks like in the diorama. So definitely much better. I'm happy with the way all that turned out. And I just want to again acknowledge, I know those steps are not accurate. A number of people had mentioned after the fact that the steps are wrong, and I definitely understand that. It's just that the amount of space, again, that was available in that little display case that I built it in did not provide for an angle set of steps that really are appropriate for the Viper. Now I wanted to make one additional mention about this, and that is that Mark Fraley has designed a new set of steps that look great. This is a picture of what he's come up with. Again, Mark Fraley is a U.S. Air Force veteran who worked on many aircraft and is quite familiar with the different steps and ladders that are used to get into aircraft. And he came up with some that look really good, as you can see here. And these are now available at his Thingiverse. If not now, they soon will be. So check them out. And I think you'll be much happier with those steps if you decide to go and build out a launch tube for yourself. Alright you guys, thanks again for watching, and I will see you then in the next video. Thank you again for all the kind comments that you guys leave. I do appreciate that. And if you have any other comments here, of course, feel free to leave them here on the channel. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.